It's got to be frustrating to be halfway through the season. You're still wondering who the quarterback is. How are things going to be divided? I think Chad said it's going to be Ben and Nick getting first-team reps.
Yeah, we're going to go back and just evaluate those guys in practice and split the reps up and see whoever we feel gives us the best chance to win this week. Obviously, we're game planning right now, looking at a lot of different things that Auburn does, and whoever we think gives us the best chance to win, that's who we'll go with.
Joe, that Auburn defensive front especially. Well, how tough is their defense, and then the defensive line, and I guess Brown in particular?
Yeah, I mean, he's a really, really, really good player. Made the comment yesterday, we've seen Jadeveon Clowney in this league. We've played against him or coached against him, and I think this kid, number 5, is probably the best interior defensive lineman we've ever faced or ever seen on film. He's very powerful. He's strong. He's quick twitch. He gets off blocks very easily. He does a really good job. I mean, you see in the Florida game, he picks up a fumble, and I mean he's really fast down the sideline like a running back. So he's a really good player, and we're going to have to be ready for him.
When you went back and looked at Nick's performance, was it something mechanical that was going on with his performance, or was there something psychologically that was happening with Nick?
Well, a lot of the things, that Nick, missed was, RPO game, some play actions. And those is just, we got to make sure we buzz our feet and open our hips and open our front foot. A lot of time Nick was throwing across his body, and that's something we're constantly working on with him. And he'll get better at it. But those were the times, we felt like he maybe threw the ball a little bit behind his receiver when we thought he had him. So Nick's very aware of it. We work it, we're starting, working it every day, worked it yesterday. So he'll continue to get better with that.
Joe, I know obviously you guys didn't want Nick to throw picks, and he didn't throw any picks the other night. But do you think maybe he has that in his head, like don't throw a pick, and that was maybe affecting his throwing? It was something in his mind, or?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little bit of that. I thought he did a nice job of taking care of the ball the other night. Something we've obviously been harping on with him, and obviously we didn't turn the ball over the other night, which is something we've been talking about that for a while. So as long as we take care of the football, we feel like we get a good chance to win. Obviously, we had a chance to win in the fourth quarter and didn't get it done. So I thought he did a nice job of doing that.
Coach, Traylon's still young, obviously, and still having some problems with alignment and all that kind of stuff. But how far off is he, just from the playmaking skills that he has, how far off are you guys from integrating more of him into the offense, whether it's lining him up in the backfield, just getting the ball in his hands more?
Yeah, I mean, I've said that a lot. I'm with you on that. I mean, we got to try to get him the ball as many times as we can. And he's obviously proven to be a very dynamic player with the ball in his hand. You see him on the punt return, kind of toying with the guy and then hitting the sideline. He's very dynamic, and we tried to a couple of things the other night to get him the ball. Didn't work out very good, but just constantly thinking about different ways of getting him the ball and trying to be creative. Again, he is young, like you said. He's young, and he's trying to still learn how to line up. You saw the other night too. At the right on the snap, he's still getting on the ball. So trying to add some things for him to get him the ball, but also try to keep it as simple as we can so he can just go play is the main thing.
One of the things Nick said early in the season was liking to know who the quarterback would be just in terms of confidence for him. Have you noticed a shift in confidence for either of those guys and maybe even other guys just without that consistency?
A shift in confidence with Ben and Nick? I don't think so. I think Ben, when he got in, he's shown to be pretty confident and comfortable with what he's doing. I think Nick was pretty confident and comfortable early in the game the other night. So I don't think that those guys have lost any confidence.
With the chance to have game-winning drives the last 2 games, you moved the ball from your end down into the scoring zone both times. What's changed offensively? What were you trying to get done on Saturday's game with those last 4 calls?
Yeah, the first one was a quarterback draw that we had schemed up, and we had 4 guys in the box, and it was a good design. I think Myron got held up just a little bit trying to get around. I think it was Ty, and I think that put him and Ben kind of on top of each other. I'd like for Ben to be a little bit farther back there. so that Myron, when he kicks that linebacker out, Ben hits it inside. And I think Ben was just a little too fast there, and we probably get a first down there on the quarterback draw. The second play, was an RPO. We had exactly what we wanted. We had Mike Woods on the slant and just missed it. Third down, obviously we gave up an opportune, not a good time to give up a sack there. Probably could have called maybe a quicker play, try to get it to a 4th and short or something, but thought we had some guys coming open late. That we could have done a better job maybe getting the ball out of his hand a little quicker. And then obviously 4th down and long was tough, and they dropped everybody, at the chains, and it was just made it tough, and Ben got pressured. So looking back on it, you always second guess yourself in those situations. Wish we, maybe take the RPO off and just hand the ball off to Rakeem, or try to see what we can get there on 2nd down and make it a little bit shorter 3rd down call. But again, you're always going to have those calls. You second guess yourself. If you hit Mike Woods on the slant, or Ben is a little slower and increases it, you're talking about something completely different. So probably could have done a little better job play calling there.
With Chase Hayden injured and Devois not being as productive, how much has it hurt you guys not having 1 through 3 of your running backs,
Yeah, we got to do a better job of getting TJ going. I think he could have helped us a little bit the other night. We had some things that we had schemed up for him to get him the ball, and I could have done a better job probably of calling some of those. Things were working early in the game, so we kind of stuck with those. And that's one thing that you, as a coach, you don't want to ever get away from what's working. And if something's working, try to stay with it. And second play of the game was a big play for us. Myron cut down the backside. They brought field pressure, and we creased them. And so we kept kind of coming back to that kind of scheme, not the same play, but that kind of scheme. And so, again, we can get TJ involved a little bit more and continue to bring Amante along. Amonte's really close. I'm really trying to push to get him in there a little bit. It's just hard when you're facing some SEC opponents, when we haven't been able to get him in early in the year. To see if we can really trust them in a game situation. It's hard to put them in there, and versus some SEC opponents that could come down to one play like it did the other night. So again, we're trying to bring those guys along and play as many as we can.
Coach, against Ole Miss, Nick came in for Ben and outplayed him, and then the last 2 games Ben came in for Nick and outplayed him. Do you think there maybe is a looking over your shoulder, something that maybe is dealing with? It just seems like there's a little bit of a pattern with the backup quarterback coming in and outplaying the starter. Yeah,
well, I think early in the year, obviously I think Ben may have been looking over his shoulder a little bit to Nick. Obviously Nick had a good fall camp too. Could have been a little bit of that with Ben, but I think Nick is, the last couple of weeks, I don't think he's felt that at all. I would hope not. Because we've made it, pretty clear that he's been our guy, the past couple of weeks. So obviously he got hurt in the A&M game, and Ben came in and relieved him. So I would hope not. I hope those guys are continuing to prepare themselves like they were the starter anyway. I think playing quarterback too, it's always a little easier to kind of sit back early in the game and see how a team's playing you when you're not actually in the game in live bullets coming at you, and you kind of sit back and you can kind of see it as a coach. And Ben's one of those guys that's been around for so long, and he understands defenses and coverages and all those things, that he sits back and watches what Nick's doing and watches how the defense is playing Nick. When he gets in there, he's kind of already got an idea of what's happening, whereas Nick's seen it probably for the first time in the game. Obviously, he studied film, but he's seen it for the first time live bullets, and I think Ben sitting back and kind of watching helps him a little bit.
More on the quarterbacks. Last half of the season, do you see a situation where one of these guys is kind of the permanent starter and the other is the backup, or do you see trying to play the hot hand, just who's playing well, and if he's not, the other guy can do it?
Yeah, I sure hope so. I'd love to, be in that situation where we've got a guy and he's consistent and comes out hot and stays hot throughout the game. But that's kind of the other night. We kind of felt like it was at a point where we needed a spark, and that's why we kind of decided to go with Ben to see if he could give us a little bit of a spark, give us a little bit of the hot hand, like you said, kind of thing. So I hope not. I hope we can kind of settle on a guy, and I hope we can I got to get that guy. I got to get that out of those guys a little bit more, being more consistent, and we can do a better job of obviously scheming and there's a lot of good things you see on film, especially like I told you guys, when you get in a bye week, you see a lot. You watch a lot of tape. You watch past couple years of teams because you just kind of run out of things to watch from the season when you've only played a couple games. So you go back and you see a lot of things that you like, and I think I've got to do a better job of just narrowing it down to a smaller package and just making sure whatever look they show us, that whoever the quarterback is, they know exactly where the ball needs to go, and I think we got to do a better job of that.
At the same time, Coach, 2-4 looks bad, but you've got a 4-point loss, another 4-point loss, a 7-point loss. Given that, do you start looking at maybe being more aggressive, like say before halftime when you guys, you tried to get a first down, but maybe being more aggressive in that aspect and maybe some others? Yeah,
that's one of those things that, we had a first down call, get out of bounds, and we had schemed up a little run trap play against those guys that we thought was going to be really good, and it was there. We just, it was close. So if we hit that trap play, you're probably going to gain about 10, 12 yards. To be honest with you, it was there, but we didn't. And so at that point, we had another play called, and I think Coach was kind of thinking they may call a timeout or what, because they had some timeouts left. And so at that point, Coach just, we just decided to not go any farther with it. But I think I've tried to be more aggressive, like you said, Trey, and one of the things I think of is down there on the goal line, we're on the 9-yard line, and we throw an RPO to CJ, and and then the next play we come out and throw a little, basically a screen to Rakeem in the flat. It's an extension of our run play, but again, trying to be aggressive and get the ball on the perimeter to our playmakers there. And then 3rd and 9, obviously, we didn't feel like we had a good run play to get 9 yards from the goal on 3rd and goal. So, trying to be more aggressive and trying to score touchdowns. Obviously, the red zone woes, that you guys talked about is one of the things that we really got to get better at, obviously. And trying to score touchdowns and not settle for field goals is obviously one of the things we've harped on, and we've got to continue to just keep pushing and keep working those things and put the ball in the end zone, not settle for field goals.
You guys are wanting to redshirt KJ or hope to redshirt KJ, but where is he right now in his development? And is there a situation down these final 6 games where you guys try to get him in and see what you can do offensively with him and his legs and his ability to throw the ball as well?
Yeah, we've challenged him actually a couple weeks ago. We have a group of guys, of young guys that go to Power Hour, which we call Power Hour is kind of their time to get an extra lift in, to get bigger, stronger, faster. And we've kind of held KJ from that, to make sure he's learning the offense mentally, in the meeting rooms, learning the game plan, learning kind of how our style is and all those things. And, the biggest thing with him is just continuing to do what he's doing. He's taken a huge step, like I said, from the bye week of learning. I'm constantly asking him questions, even when he's in there, even though he's not the starter, just making sure he's developing mentally. And any quarterback, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but any quarterback that comes out of high school, it's not a knock on their high school. We just do more at this level, and more is required of them. So, he's learning. He's doing a good job. He's just got to continue that. And I think if he does continue on the path that he's on, who knows? We may try to have a little package for him later in the year. But that's definitely something that we've discussed. And again, we've talked to KJ and really challenged him to keep getting better.
What are the keys to moving the ball against a team that's so stout defensively, so good against the run? What do you have to do?
Well, we got to have a great plan. We got to have a great protection plan when we throw the football. And not a lot of teams have had a lot of success running the football against these guys. They're, like I said, they're big inside. They're quick. They're fast. They're quick twitch. They get off blocks. They got a lot of speed. That's one thing when you turn the tape on against these guys. It is evident that these guys are very fast. I think, number 13 is a 10-3 100-meter guy out of the state of Florida. And like I said, with number 5, you see him pick up a fumble and he's running down the sideline like a running back. So they got a lot of speed, and we're going to have to use some different things. I don't want to give too much away here, but we're going to have to use some different things to help us out, try to move the football effectively.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, thanks, guys.